going on?
What's up, everybody? Another lovely Thursday night. It's your boys, Birds of a Feather, the four flock together. So we in the square. You got Pete's on both sides. I think that's going to be the left side of your screen. I can't see it's reversed. And you got Jake and Chuck's over there on the left side of the screen. We want to get into a little all-time Eagles draft, and maybe there may be some breaking news alert sometime during the show. But let's get into it. We're going to roll that intro and get right into it.
Let's go! This ain't the rock like or this game he stink!
Oh shit!
It's gone!
Yo, what's good, ladies and gentlemen? This is Birds of a Feather on A2D Radio, brought to you by Manscaped. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code A2D at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code A2D at manscaped.com. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and anywhere you download your podcast. So if you're listening to us live right now or on your commute, we greatly appreciate the support. It's the new panel back again for their second week, our second week together. Very, very hyped. It's your boy Chuck's here. To my left, Mr. OG Pete, Mr. Pete Evans.
What's cracking?
We've got next to him the other Pete, Pete Young. Them down below, we've got Mr. Nate Money from the Money Pot. What's good, Nate? And then we've got Jake over down there, farther from opposite corner from me. What's good, fellas? How are you? How's your week been? How's everyone going?
Good.
Fucking sucks right now. I'm out here in these goddamn streets because
Say, brother, your lighting, boy. Whoo, God,
Yeah.
Jesus.
yeah, I'm out in these streets because we're going to Disney World, so I'm running around.
Woo!
And I'm not feeling it, fella. So I wanted to make sure I at least show my face. I'll be on the road though, so please excuse the lighting. I did it right though. I got the front accent lighting. I got the side. So we got some illumination up in here.
There you go. There you go. I'm assuming you're not driving, Nate, right?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not driving to Disney World. What is your motor transportation?
Oh no. No. Because these women don't drive out here. So,
Bro, tell me about it.
No, we're flying out tomorrow, but it's always the last minute shit, right?
Yeah.
Always the last minute shit. So, I was like, let me pull over. Let's get the thing started, and then as we go along, I'll be moving a little bit.
Gotcha. I hear you. Well, we appreciate. Stay safe.
Be safe.
And I'm excited for you going to Disney World. Holy crap! If you didn't know, the big me, Chrome, we're big Disney World people. So
Okay.
I'm very, very, very excited for you. This is your first time going? You're not.
We got 3 kids coming with us, and I'm just like, oh man.
He didn't.
Like, I got
he
my
didn't say
kids.
his kids. He didn't even want to claim his own kids.
Yeah. Well, it's all they're all. So we did. You know the whole thing. Long story short, we did this for my daughter 10 years ago, and now my mom wants to do it for all the other kids, and we got 3 of them. So they have no idea how much walking what Disney World is really about, and we do. And we're not excited for it. That's all I got to say. We are not excited.
Are you hitting up all 4 parks?
That is the plan. We'll see after we get done too how people's legs are feeling. It's a lot of walking.
It's a lot of walking. It's not for the faint of heart when it comes to walking. That's
yes, sir.
Correct. Well, I'm excited for you regardless, and I hope you somehow have a good time. But
we'll have a good time. It'll be a good time. It'll be fun.
We'll talk more about that later. Some Disney talk. I'm always down for Disney talk. But we've got a show of it's gonna be a lot of fun again tonight. We got an action-packed show tonight, guys. We are going to be talking about AJ Brown and DeVonta Smith. We're going to compare their projections, and we're going to see who do we actually think is going to be, who's going to have the bigger season, and who do we think is actually has the higher potential of the two, AJ or DeVonta. So we'll get into that. And then in the second half of the show, we got some fun. We are going to do an all-time Eagles draft with the five of us. We're going to go through, pick teams, and see who ends up having the better team out of us five. That should be fun for the fans out there in the family to vote on tomorrow. But let's talk about AJ Brown and DeVonta Smith in the first half of the show, which is brought to you by eXp Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, if you're looking for a change in career or brokerage, contact Alan Foy of eXp Realty LLC at 302-682-8820 or visit him at alan.foy@exprealty.com, and by Specialized Physical Therapy. They've got 2 locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill. Make them yours, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Our poll question for this evening, gentlemen: AJ Brown will have a better statistical season in 2022 than DeVonta Smith. Agree or disagree? I'm going to be straight up honest before you guys start answering. I do not know which way I'm going to go with this poll question. So I'm going to let all 4 of you go as usual. And depending on what you say, it might sway my answer. But let's go with, I was going to go Nate first, but he's off. And then we've got Jake, who's actually doesn't look like, he's Jake. Jake's back. All right, so let's go in reverse order of what we did last week. So Pete, you're going to go first. Pete Evans. Sorry, I got to clear that up. God damn. I'm still not used to that. All right, Mr. Evans.
I'm still here, man. I'm still here. I just
you're so good.
wanted to upload that new PJ Tucker.
Okay.
PJ Tucker.
Ooh, I see that. All right.
Old man ball in the building.
Mr. Evans, agree or disagree to the poll?
I'm going to disagree to the poll because I think he's going to have the bigger impact, but I think DeVonta is going to feast more as far as catches, yards. The only thing that he won't have probably more than Brown is touchdowns. But I think he'll have more catches, more yards, just because of how much attention that AJ Brown is going to garner on the other side of the field, and how movable that DeVonta Smith is going to be now, and the matchups that he's going to find. And I mean, don't get me wrong, AJ Brown's a physical specimen. He's a man's man, but that boy DeVonta Smith is slippery as a snake, boy, in and out them routes. So I just think the way that he's going to be able to be used and the matchups that he's going to have, I think it's going to be more favorable for DeVonta more than AJ Brown.
All right, the other Pete, Mr. Pete Young, what say you, brother?
It's got to be DeVonta. I love AJ Brown. He's a top 10 wide receiver. Like, he's phenomenal.
DeVonta. If you're going to be on the show, you got to say it right. DeVonta.
I'm a Philadelphia sports fan. It is my God-given right to mispronounce an athlete's name, okay?
not on this show. DeVonta. But proceed, bro.
Look, yeah, like, AJ Brown is amazing, but I got to go with my guy. Like, it's my son. Like, I love DeVonta Smith so much. I drove 3 hours to go get his jersey on opening day.
You did do that.
Like, that's how much I believe in him. He was my number 1 wide receiver coming out, even over Jamar Chase. That's how much I believed in this guy. And now you're telling me that he breaks the Eagles' receiving record as a rookie, and now he gets to go play with a top 10 wide receiver, and he's wide receiver 2 now. So now he's facing all CB2s. He's gonna feast. Like, he's gonna get open more. He's gonna get the touchdowns. He's gonna get the yards. Like, he's gonna get everything. Like, the fact that you get to develop him more while learning from AJ Brown is insane. Not to mention that you're gonna get Quez Watkins and Dallas Goedert to open things up for him. Like, it's not even a question. It's DeVonta. DeVonta Smith all day long.
Sounds like it's an all-star team.
Whoa. No, don't say things like that.
Did you see he was retracting those statements now? Did you see?
He walked in. Somebody talked to him.
He's like, the media's lying. I'm like, what do you mean the media's lying? You said it.
You
literally said it. What is the media lying about? They're literally just.
I was
you have a quote.
I was telling my friends after I saw that, I was like, that makes 2 dumb quotes that Miles has said in the past week.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You know what the first one is?
Yeah.
But he didn't even make the All-Star team. That's the crazy thing. He talking about it looked like an all-star team when you on the sideline. Like, yeah.
He a reserve of the reserves.
You know what I mean?
In fantasy.
Yeah, you're not on the all-star team, brother.
Jake, what say you?
I'm gonna basically pick up right where Pete Evans left off. It's just with me. I think Devontae's gonna lead the team in yards, receptions. AJ Brown, I think, is just going to be the main target in the red zone just because of how big he is, obviously, and his catch radius is ridiculous. But the fact that you have Dallas Goedert, AJ Brown, Quez Watkins in his second year, Devontae in his second year, and the fact that he's going to be going against the number 2 cornerback, good luck. That opposing defense to your number 2 corner. Good luck with Devontae in his second year. Now that he's going to be a little more comfortable, a lot more, like a better understanding of the offense. I just think the fact with his route running and just how good, special he is, I think he's going to make a major jump this year. Not taking anything away from AJ, because I think AJ is going to be great, but I think the one that we're going to see benefit the most from getting AJ Brown is going to be DeVonta Smith.
All right, Nate, what say you?
I mean, I hear what all you guys are saying, but it's obvious it's AJ Brown.
Okay.
Right? He's a top 10 receiver for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to come here to be the number 1. It's not like DeVonta Smith is still going to be a number 1. It's not like 1A and 1B. It is 1 and 2, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that DeVonta Smith doesn't have potential to be a number 1, but it's obviously AJ Brown. He's been the proven he's the proven element. He's the proven guy. We got to see more. Now, obviously, he's got to still get the ball. He can't throw himself the football, but he's going to get the first look. And he's been against the best corners that the other team has to offer, and he still puts up numbers. So, and then think about it. In today's game, you have a lot of teams that have the second corners just as good as the first, if not better. There's only a couple teams when there's a clear-cut number 1 shutdown corner, and it's not even close. But it's more now kind of closely niched of how good the second or even third corner could be compared to the quote-unquote number 1 corner who guards all the guys. So, to me, it's A.J. Brown all the way. And we even see that because I think that Brown and Hurts have might even have a more rapport than Smith, just of that nature of, knowing each other. We didn't see any of that type of kind of camaraderie with Smith and Hurts. Not saying they don't have that because we don't see everything that's behind the locker room, but they were, Hurts and Brown were a lot more open and seemed like a lot more comfortable with it as well. That's just their relationship. I think you have to like that when you have a quarterback and receiver hanging out like that. Wasted no time. So, yeah, man. If this was fantasy draft, who you taking, A.J. Brown or Smith? It's obviously A.J. Brown.
I don't know which way I'm going to go. But I think, well, first of all, hold on. I forgot to put my glasses on. That's
There you go.
My mistake. First of all, I got to remember, remember that. I'll say this, okay? I think I'll side with Nate. I think I'm going to agree to the poll. I think statistically overall, it's going to be A.J. Brown for a lot of the reasons he said. So I don't want to rehash that because I do agree with a lot he said. A.J. Brown right now is the better receiver right now. And I think even with the attention he's going to get from number 1 corners, he's been dealing with that for years now. It's a matter of health now. Health is going to play a big factor because he's had injury issues. So obviously he's got to stay healthy. But if he does, I do expect him to put up a lot of good numbers. You also got to consider that a lot of his a big strength of his game is yak. And I know DeVonta is awesome at yak too, but in this type of offense where a lot of it is West Coast, short, quick passes, screens, I mean, that's a huge part of AJ's game. So he's going to really, really fit into what Reich wants to, or not Reich, why did I say Reich? I'm sorry. Sirianni wants to do. Now, what I will say on top of that is I do still believe that eventually down the line, DeVonta will end up being a better wide receiver than AJ. I think his ceiling is higher. I think that once he really masters how to play against stronger and more physical corners, and really use that route running to his advantage, I think he's going to really hit another level. So we got to see that. I mean, DeVonta has immense potential. You know, I might not have had him, you know, as my wide receiver one that draft year. I had Jamar Chase, but we see how great Jamar Chase already is. I mean, he's already a top 5, arguably a top 5 receiver in the league. So that's not saying, you know, a whole lot when you're wide receiver 2 behind Jamar Chase in that draft. I
don't know if he's a top 5, maybe top 10.
Top 10, yeah, like ish, yeah, like between 5 and 10.
He only had 1 year.
1 year doing it, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like it.
So I think the word of DeVonta, but I think for this year, 2022, I'll have to go with AJ. So it's really tough. Now I'll ask you, and this is something we're going to go around doing even for when we do our draft in a little bit. But I want you guys to give projections now, statistical projections. What do you realistically think that each of them are going to hit? So Nate, you first. I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but what would you give projection wise for each receiver?
I would say I think that AJ Brown would probably be like, because I got to see Hurts to believe it. Mm-hmm. I want to believe it. I really do. I try so hard. I've been negative about Hurts for a long time, and I started to come around when everybody started to say that he wasn't it. And I only started to come around because I felt that they were giving him a bad deal, and he just kept fighting. And as a quarterback, you want that. You want a quarterback who's going to fight, who doesn't get worried about the pressure, and it's just going to always be there. So I think you could count on him on that. But I just don't believe in his arm talent. So my numbers are going to be actually a little bit lower. I don't think any receiver is going to crack over 1,000 yards. But I think they're all going to be close. So okay. I think that, like, I could see AJ Brown have like 975 yards, or like maybe he'll crack 1,000, make 1,045 yards and like 8 touchdowns. Oh man.
You good?
What happened?
Oh, there's...
It's a good thing you went.
Oh man.
Oh man, out. We'll hear from him a little bit later. All right, Jake. Well, what say you?
What was the question one more time? Sorry,
projections for each.
The yards, stat line projection.
For yards, just yards?
And touchdowns.
Oh wow. Okay.
I know. Well, if you can't think of one, you don't have to.
No, I can put something together real quick, but it's just because like I this is like the win-loss thing before the year starts, right? Because you don't know what you're looking at, what you're going to see, what it's going to look like. I'm not going to give like exact, but I'll give like, as far as yards go, I'll give like kind of like a ballpark. I think if everything goes right and everything goes to how I think the offense can go, I think DeVonta and AJ both can get over 1,000. And I know that's asking a lot, but if everything goes according to plan, I think they both can get over 1,000. And as far as touchdowns, I'll say AJ has at least, I'll say 8, and DeVonta has like 7.
Okay. Mr. Young.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Jake. I don't think anyone has 1,000 yards, just because the way this offense works, that it's going to be all over the place. Because you have Pascal, you have Quez, you have AJ Brown, you have DeVonta Smith. Like you have all these guys who are just going to spread the field open, and they're going to get a significant amount of balls thrown their way. Like, so I just don't think there's enough passes to go around for either of them to have 1,000 yards. I think my hot take is I think Quez Watkins probably has the most yards out of anyone, and that will not be a popular take, but whatever. I think DeVonta will have 10 touchdowns. My honest opinion. I think AJ Brown probably has like 8 or 9. I'm going with my heart on this one, and I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I think AJ Brown has double-digit TDs, and I think DeVonta is going to have more than 5. I was actually looking for the lines on Vegas or where they think everybody would be at.
Yeah.
Couldn't find it. There's nothing's out there for them. So, yards wise, I will say I think DeVonta has more catches. I'm a believer in just him with the value, but I believe yards would be comparable. But I definitely think AJ will have more touchdowns than DeVonta. I think touchdown wise, I think DeVonta and Quez will be somewhat comparable. I don't think that the fam has the expectation of how much we're going to throw the ball now. So it's going to be very week 1, week 2-ish, but they hope to succeed, essentially. That's what we saw last year. Because if Hurts takes that next step.
I think I'm going to say that AJ Brown breaks 1,000 yards. Obviously, a lot of it is dependent on health, but if he's healthy, I do think he breaks it. Especially like nowadays, guys, like it's so much easier.
Well, you have that extra game now too, so
you have an extra game, so like, it kind of like dilutes it,
right?
A little bit, but it's still a good accomplishment. It's still a good milestone. So I say AJ Brown does break 1,000 yards. I don't know if I'll go 1,000 or 1,100, maybe somewhere around there. Touchdowns, I'll say 8. DeVonta, I think, is going to be right under him. I think he's going to, if he doesn't break 1,000, I think it'll be like 900 something again this season, similar to last season. And then touchdowns, I think, will be around like 4 or 5 touchdowns for him. So I think another good year. It's just that there's not. I think, yes, they're going to throw more than they did last year, but I also think a lot of those receptions. I think Gainwell's going to have a lot more receptions. So I think they're going to be spreading the ball a lot. So even though DeVonta's stats won't see a tick, it won't be higher than last year, I still think his game overall is going to be better. Better than it was last year. So that's the thing about stats. Stats lie. So it's hard to get a feel of what the chat is saying because I know there's a lot of Mr. Carson Wentz is a little bit bitter over here, saying Hurts can't throw.
Yeah, he doesn't like Hurts.
He's saying we're all being way too optimistic. Mr. Wentz, the division rival now. Remember, he's a commander. So Ryan Swope here says a funny story between the New York Giants fans on radio and Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni on the tennis court can't be true. I don't think that was true.
No.
There's no way.
Nick probably beat his ass and then planted a flower.
Yeah. Greg Malakovic, friend of the show, associate teammate, says, "What's up, fellas? I agree to the poll, even with Jalen's poo-poo arm." So, yeah. Ryan Soap also says, AJ Brown is a goal line receiver. He will be receiving most of his catches on short throws and do his work after. He will have more receptions for this reason. Brown will also have more TDs and be a red zone threat. DeVonta will have more yards though because his catches will be longer. That's fair something. But then Ryan, you talk about how his strength, like what I said earlier, AJ Brown's strength is yards after catch. I mean, yards after catch do count as yards, so that's where I think he's gonna rack up a lot of yards. Though is through Yak. So, now before we move on to the next segment, Mr. Young brought up something. He said his dark horse candidate to lead is Quez. Do you guys have any other dark horse bright spots on this offense that could come out and take that next step? Not necessarily be better statistically than DeVonta or AJ, but do you agree with Mr. Young that Quez is going to have a really good year, or do you think Dallas Goedert could end up being the leading receiver out of all of them, or do you think like Gainwell will take another? Like, who would be that next guy after those two? You expect to have a really good year.
Okay, but by whose standards? Like a good year by just this player taking the next step forward, or like actually contributing?
Well, any way you want to put it. So, like I said, like people are looking at DeVonta and AJ, right? So, do you think it's possible for like someone like Dallas Goedert to be the leading receiver, or do you think that Gainwell will get like 5 to 6 or 700 yards receiving, or is Quez going to end up having like 800, 900, like anything, any way you want to do it, but like anyone beyond that you think can actually catch your eye this season? Because I honestly think I think out of everyone beyond those two, I think Dallas Goedert could make a case for being the leading receiver. I think it's very possible he ends up topping those two if he stays healthy again. Another thing with health, God. So I would say for me, I'd say it's Dallas Goedert, someone who's flying on. Not a lot of people are talking about him, but if he got that new contract, if he can really stay healthy, he could have a monster year.
I think for me, I think it has to be Kenny Gainwell. That's just me. Because we've talked about it before. We talked about it last week, and Miles wasn't too happy about it, but that's all right. It's Miles' availability is still a concern for me. I just don't know how available he's going to be. And from what I'm hearing, I think they're going to have Kenny Gainwell running a lot more wide receiver routes this year. So you'll be seeing a lot of that from him this year. But I just think that's someone who really takes a huge step this year. He had what was it, 6 or 7 touchdowns last year, his rookie year?
6.
Yeah. Was it 6? Okay. I think we'll have somewhere around that, but I think as far as like someone under the radar per se, I think Kenny's one who's going to have a huge benefit this year.
I'm going to say this is tough because I still think Sanders could take that step forward. But if we're just talking about where they're at before coming into this year, any fucking thing that Jalen Reagor does to contribute would be leaps and bounds beyond what he's done so far.
This is true.
So the bar is so low.
I did not expect that. I did not expect that.
I mean,
I'm amazed. I'm amazed that you'll think he'll be getting any playing time over my man Zach Pascal. I'm just saying.
Well, the thing is, if you go back to week 2 against Dallas, he had his man beat, but Jalen underthrew the ball. He had a touch. He had plays that he made that got called back.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's going to be easier for him because if you got a choice between the 4 wide receiver set, and I understand Zach Pascal, what he brings to Sirianni, he knows the system, this, that, and the third. But if you just need somebody to go break down this athlete for athlete, I mean, I'm there to say I think Jalen Reagor is a better athlete than Zach Pascal, but is he a better football player? No. Mm-hmm. So it just depends. I mean, but this is it because they couldn't trade him, they couldn't give him away.
Nope.
You know what I mean? So this is his last hurrah. I mean, but like I said, if you're just talking about somebody that's flying under the radar that may be able to contribute or not, then I'm going to say Reagor because it's kind of the same thing we said with Aguilar. Nobody knew Aguilar.
Yep, I was just about to say that.
Contribute at that point when we won the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But without him, we don't win.
Nope.
You know what I mean? So it's just kind of one of those things. But we'll see. We will see.
I don't even think Hightower makes the team.
And I've seen him a lot because he's
too.
very into bowling. Like he is an avid bowler.
Does he live in South Jersey? Like
Yeah,
near
I don't know
you?
if he lives in. I know he has a track hall. I can tell you that. He
Okay.
comes to my man and he gets bowling balls drilled like every 2 or 3 weeks.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
I actually really like Hightower. I thought I actually wanted him to play more than I liked than Ward did last year, just because I like his skill set more. But it's just like there's just so much talent that I just don't think there's any room for him.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys listened to Jason Avant on his podcast last year. He was talking about Hightower. Like there's question marks about his desire and what should we call it? What's the word I'm trying to look for? Like his will,
His want to, yeah.
motivation, to want to. So that's a big question mark. I think Hightower is always someone I thought could be a really solid receiver. I thought he was more pro ready than Quez coming out, but I absolutely thought Quez had a higher ceiling. But Hightower I thought could always be like a solid wide receiver, kind of like a John Brown type, but it hasn't panned out so far. He's had his opportunities his rookie year, but those have gone by the wayside, and he could be on his way out. Absolutely, Pete could be right. He might not even make the team. So, Pop says the question is how many TDs will Hurts throw for, because that will determine how our wide receiver and tight end core do. That's a good question. How much you project Hurts, or how well you project Hurts to do, will ultimately be what determines how well our wide receivers do. That's absolutely not a question. So it's going to be tough. I think I agree with OG Pete that we will pass the ball more than we think. But I also think they're going to have more stability on the ground game going up. So Carson Wentz again says Minshew will be the starter by week 5.
I will bet you whatever you want on God's green earth.
Yeah, he would have to royally stink.
Yeah, he'd have to be really bad. All right, fellas, that was a good segment, good conversation. Fans, family, if you have any input to the poll question, feel free to continue to give your feedback. Let us know what you think. DeVonta or AJ, who's going to have the better year? Right now, we are going to go ahead and move on to our second half of the show. But before we do, Mr. Pete Evans, why don't you tell us what's going on with our sponsors for this half of the show? Pete, you're muted.
Turn your mic on. There we go. So one of our sponsors tonight is FanUp. It's the best way to enjoy fantasy sports, daily NBA contests, and more. Win great prizes. Sign up today. Use promo code A to the 2 to the D for 5,000 bonus points, which is a $50 value. FanUp.app. And also All Campus. Our boy John Coyle, Brinkman, they do the Sunday show there, which is giving you 20% off everything in the store, including hats, shirts to all of our subscribers. Once again, hit that little subscribe button on the YouTube. I think do we have our Twitter account back yet, Jake, or no? No.
Tom just made a new one.
He just made a new one.
We're on Twitter. We're still on Twitter, but
yeah. Okay. Well, I know Twitter has this new thing where you can do like a super follow, which is almost like a subscription type deal. So
that's basically what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Twitter. Not a lot of people on this radio station do, but I love Twitter. So
it gives people the voice, the smart ones and the dumb ones as well.
Yes, that is true. You just avoid the dumb ones. You do your best to avoid the dumb ones. All right, people. It looks like we're gonna have to do this segment without Mr. Nate Moss, who is not available right now. So that's fine. We will adjust. I, as always, came prepared. I have our little cheat sheet here. All we're going to do is just going to not include Nate. So we're going to go 4 rounds here. And let me explain this to the listeners. We are going to have our all-time Philadelphia Eagles draft. What we're going to do here, each of us is going to go down in snake draft format, and pick a quarterback, running back, wide receiver / tight end, and a defensive player. And then at the end of the show tomorrow, and tomorrow we are going to post each of our teams, our groups, and we're going to see what you guys think. Who ends up with the best team? What do you guys think of how we built our team? So 4 rounds. Since Nate is not here, we are going to start with Mr. Friel.
Cool.
You now have the first overall pick in the Birds of a Feather all-time Eagles draft. So, who are you going with? Now, remember, guys, quarterback, running back, wide receiver / tight end, and a defensive player. It doesn't matter where you pick them and what round. You just have to pick one of each, and so you end up with one of each. So, Jake, which way are you going here?
I'm going to go with my first overall pick. I'm going to go with one Mr. Reginald Howard White.
Asshole.
I know a Reggie White. I don't know Reginald Howard White, but I know a Reggie White.
Felt like throwing the full name in there.
I think it's pretty clear that, like, with Reggie White, the greatest, would we all agree that Reggie White is the greatest Philadelphia Eagle of all time?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any debate.
Greatest is hold on, wait. Greatest as in
Okay.
what?
The greatest.
The greatest as in like player, or just the great, like when you think of Eagles, you think of Reggie White.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I actually I would say there's an argument to be made
Okay.
for Chuck Bednarik.
Okay.
Depending on your generation, but I actually think right now there's the greatest Eagle ever is playing right now. These numbers fucking 62. That's my
Really?
yeah.
I know you're really high on Jason Kelsey.
Okay.
But just as far as the character, the iconic moments, the level of play, how long he's had that level of play, like regardless, Reggie White wore another fucking team's uniform. Hands down.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Kelsey has never done anything else outside of Midnight Green and probably never will. He's going to retire. He got drafted as an Eagle. He's going to retire as an Eagle. That's what I'm saying as far as – because Jason Kelsey is going to go into the Hall of Fame at some point. He's a Hall of Famer. Now, obviously, Reggie White, as far as overall football-wise, I get it. But as far as when you say the greatest Eagle, I think Jason Kelsey right now is giving Reggie White a run for his money. And also, like I see Chuck Bednarik, his name is coming up a lot. Concrete Charlie is what they used to call him. Like, ask Frank Gifford. If I know Frank Gifford, God rest his soul. But we all know that. You know what I mean? So it's just different things. Like, Reggie White was his window, his impact was very, very vast, but his window for actually wearing an Eagles uniform was very short. Very short.
Yep. Yeah, I hear you. I understand your argument there. I think it's the whole argument that I make, or not the whole argument. Let me rephrase that. It's a similar argument to what I'm trying to talk about when we debate Westbrook and McCoy. Is, I'm not looking at their whole careers, because obviously McCoy stayed healthier longer, had a longer career with obviously played with Buffalo Bills. He was able to put up better career numbers, or to where he was a borderline Hall of Famer, where Westbrook, his career was cut short. His prime was really only 3 years. So like, his overall career isn't as grand as McCoy's. But however, if you're talking specifically about the Eagles, Westbrook is still the leader in yards from scrimmage. When you think about Eagles, a lot of people have more attachment to Westbrook than McCoy, and a lot of it is because of Westbrook, what he was able to do in the playoffs, all his clutch moments, all of that. So, like, I'm not trying to make the argument here. I'm just saying, like, I'm
just more impactful. You're saying Westbrook was more impactful. Yep.
And it's similar to what you're saying, is that, like, Reggie White split time between here and the Packers, and a lot of people, when they think Reggie White, a lot of people outside of Philly, they think Reggie White as a Packer because that's where he won.
Right, that's where he won a Super Bowl at.
But whereas with Jason Kelsey, he is an Eagle. So that's where I understand your point, and I don't hate it. A lot of people will probably think you're crazy, but I don't hate it because I know where you're coming from. Right. My rebuttal to that and Jake and Pete, I want your input too because it's an interesting conversation. My rebuttal is even when Reggie White was here, even though he didn't stay here,
Mhm.
what he was as a player when he was an Eagle, he was arguably a top 5 defensive player of all time in the NFL history. He was a better player at his position than Jason Kelsey was at his position when he played.
Mhm.
And that's saying a lot because Jason Kelsey, I've argued, is one of the best centers to ever play the game. But Reggie White is just on another level. So while I see what you're saying, like I still can't put Jason Kelsey as the greater all time Eagle, even with everything, because Reggie White he was the elite of the elite at playing. He was the minister of defense. He made himself known in Philly. That's where he got his reputation. That's where he established himself
Right.
as all pro defender, the best defensive lineman during that era. So I mean, that's where like I can't do it. I still can't. I would love to because I love Jason Kelsey, but I just can't because Reggie White was just on another level.
True. And now the reason why I say Kelsey is just because with all that being said about Reggie, don't get me wrong. Even with the only Eagle jersey I got with Dawkins, them some bitches ain't bringing no Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It
wasn't his fault. Freaking Buddy Ryan and
I'm just but without Kelsey, we don't win it. Without Kelsey, we don't win it. We're not even there. We don't win it. You see what I'm saying? So it's like I get that everything you said sounds great, and it was pretty much splitting hairs at this point. But I don't think I don't think the fans are ready for life without Kelsey yet.
I'm not.
I don't think they're gonna know what that's going to be like. You don't know. You don't know his impact because he's still doing it.
Sorry about that, man.
Oh, good.
Jalen
Are you
Hurts.
okay?
Yeah. I didn't die. I'm good.
Oh,
man.
My bad. Yeah, Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders called me on the line and started bitching at me because I was talking.
God, it makes complete sense.
Miles was like, "Yeah, you still like you made the varsity team." So didn't make the varsity team. Talking shit. You know how it is. My varsity.
But Nate, we're talking about obviously Jake went. He went in your place, and you can get second pick. But he went Reggie White, and then Pete.
Oh, good.
Pete went into a conversation of he actually thinks there is an argument to make that Jason Kelsey is the greatest Eagle of all time because his tenure in Philly is more impactful, whereas Reggie he won a Super Bowl with the Packers, and a lot of people outside of Philly know him or see him as a Packer. So I disagreed because I what I said was even saying all that, Reggie White was still on another level. When he was here,
absolutely,
he was just one of the best defensive players of all time. Like you can argue the top 3 defensive player of all time. So I still can't put Kelsey over him. So Nate, Jake, and Mr. Young, I do want your input. Like what say you do? Would you still fall in line and put Reggie as the best, or do you think there is
the greatest Eagle of all time?
Greatest Eagle of all time.
Is Reggie White the greatest Eagle of all time? That's tough for me because I'm a fanboy and I was a defensive end through college. I've always been a huge Reggie fan. Always have been, always will be. So yeah, I got to go with Reggie. There's arguments for Dawkins. Oh wow,
what was that?
Yeah, man, it's all kind of crazy shit going on tonight, huh?
Yeah, what the hell
I think there's you could probably throw Donovan in that conversation a little bit there, because he just carried the mantle for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was on a team full of stars. It was Reggie.
Yeah,
right. It was Reggie, and throughout the league, it was Reggie.
Mm-hmm.
I can't argue again what he did at that position for a man his size, especially back in those days. I mean, he had did he have almost 20? He had 20 sacks in like 15 games? you imagine Reggie
Oh,
playing
God.
17 games? You know what I mean? Like, could you imagine Reggie White playing 17 games?
God.
Oh my goodness.
God.
I can't wait till y'all done because I'm coming back to this and y'all leaving out a part because listen, all right, I'll say it now. If y'all going player for player, it's Reggie all day. When you talk about Eagle, when you talk about the greatest Eagle, you go to any organization, you talk about the greatest Cowboy, the greatest the greatest Packer. Wow, listen, I'll go on the record and say it right now. The greatest Packer, Aaron Rodgers is the better quarterback than Brett Favre. The greatest Packer, maybe Bart Starr or Brett Favre over Aaron Rodgers. Undoubtedly, Aaron Rodgers is the better player. But when you think about the organization and who's synonymous with that organization, I don't think Reggie White can hold a fucking candle to what Jason Kelce has meant to this team, to this organization right now.
If Jason Kelce doesn't make that speech, are you still having this conversation?
No, but the thing is, he did
that's what I'm saying.
He did make the speech. He made the speech. He wore the dog mask. He did all that.
No, exactly. And you see how fast you answered that question. You didn't have to think about it because you already knew.
Right.
No,
We were ready to.
It's Reggie all day. It's it's Reggie all day. When he went to this city at that time,
that's true.
Was just as important. Remember, he had the funny thing is he was a reverend, and then he had that kind of raspy voice too. Mm-hmm. So when he spoke, everybody listened.
But you mean let's go back to the Jason Kelce excerpt last year. That speech he gave, he had me ready to run through a wall. That was last year. I'm not trying to sit here and say it's Jason Kelce versus Reggie White, but it kind of is. But at the end of the day, Reggie left us. Now, Norman Braman, whoever the owner of the Eagles is at that time.
That wasn't Reggie's fault.
That was stupid as hell. Reggie, go get your bag. Buddy Ryan was dumb. But I think when you ask this question 10 years from now, when it's all said and done, when the kids that were 7, 8 years old on Broad Street in 2018 in the freezing cold, because I was there drunk and walked like 15,000 steps. My legs was on fire for the next 3 days after. When you ask them that question, we're going to go back and they're going to, like right now, Jason Kelce is that generation's Reggie White. You get what I'm saying?
I get it. I just think that I get what your argument for there's a difference between a better talented player, right, more talented than greatness, but at the same time, greatness still encompasses a part of the conversation of greatness is encompassing how good of a player you were still. Like you still have to be a phenomenal player to be considered great, you know? So while I see what you're talking about in terms of legacy with this city and this organization, I still think Reggie was just so much farther ahead than not just Jason Kelce, like everyone. You're talking about top 3 defensive players.
It was LT and it was Reggie. That was it.
Reggie is just so far above when it comes to how good of a player he was. That more than makes up for any legacy impact that Kelce had. That's why I can't go Kelce. And I love Kelce.
This is tough too, because this was like a fantasy thing too.
To what Carson Wentz said, Kelce was never the best center in the league. That's bogus. Like I don't know. Kelce has been the best center in the league for several years. So I don't know where that's coming from. But yeah, like this is, I'm not gonna sit here and say that Kelce wasn't the best. I'm just saying, like, and Pete, when we did the show a few months ago, we talked about Jason Kelce. We asked, is he a top 5 Eagles player of all time? And I think both of us kind of agreed he's in the top 5. So he's in that conversation, and I get it. I just can't go.
I mean, like,
I don't put him over Peters.
Ooh. I think he's in that conversation. I think we had him
because once again, we keep going back to player versus player as far as talent versus talent. I will say there has to be something to be said for the fact that you drafted a player and you have not had to worry about that player and replacing that player at a position for the last 10 years. I think he's been in the league now 10 years, if I'm not mistaken, right? Where with Peters, as great as he was, listen, there's a reason why they drafted Andre Dillard. There's a reason why they drafted Jordan Mailata. Even with Reggie White. Now, once again, greatness at that time period, Kelsey can't touch him. But there's something to be said to where you have had the same level of play, maybe that even exceeded your expectations as he's gotten older for almost 10 years. I may not be 10 years, but it's close to 10. It's more than 5+ years where you've had elite level play at a position on your offense where everything else around him, right, has fucking changed. How many different configurations of the offensive line that we've had? A lot. And he is the North Star for the Eagles right now.
And that's why I put him at like a top 3 Eagle of all time, top 5.
Right. And that's like Reggie, you make it get that. He's definitely better than Peters, in my opinion. That's just me. Because Peters is a Hall of Famer too. It's the fucking talent is a talent. But I just think that you think about when you say top of an organization, I think there's things off the field that go into it too.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That go into that. Like there's only very few. Like when you look at the teams around, when you look at the franchises around the city, obviously Michael Jack Schmidt in the Phillies, but I think even that one, greatest Philly of all time, when you look at J. Roll, Chase, and Ryan Howard, there's an argument to be made there. But there's only one. To me, and this may even sound more outlandish. When it comes to the Sixers, AI is the greatest Sixer of all time.
Oh my God, we're getting on such a tangent.
Oh, no.
but I'm just saying, like for me, that's hands down. But for other people, they're going to give you Moses. They're going to give you Dr. J. Mostly, they're going to give you Dr. J. But to me, AI, how you're saying Reggie White is a slam dunk, not so much a slam dunk. To me, that's AI. You see what I'm saying? And Dr. J would be Jason Kelsey in this situation.
That's a good conversation to have for non-birds of a feather. But let's
I derailed the whole show, the whole draft.
Jake and Mr. Young. What real quick? What say you guys? So we need to move on. We have like how many more picks?
Yeah, well, we have one. We made one pick.
We have one pick, and we made this.
But I think everything's been said, and I'm kind of where Nate is. I'm biased. I've always been a Reggie White fan, not taking anything away from Jason Kelsey's impact. I like where Pete's coming from because he's adding the off the field aspect to it too. Right. But my only counterpoint is to where in this landscape that we live in now, we have social media, so we get to see more of the behind the scenes. We understand them more as people instead of just like the athlete. Like there was more of a mystique to Reggie. Like we knew he was Reggie was a man of his faith and that whole thing. He was a pastor, like Nate said earlier. But like there was a lot of mystique. There was a lot of stuff we didn't know about Reggie off the field. With social media, like we know a lot about Jason Kelsey. We know he likes to drink. He likes to have a good time. We know all these things. So I think that adds to it. So he's more relatable. People kind of gravitate towards him more. Not saying that Reggie wasn't that either, but it's just the fact that like we live in such a social media society. You just gravitate towards these athletes much more than you did back in like the 80s and the 90s.
That's a good point. That's a really good point, Jake. Mr. Young.
I gotta go with the GOAT of all goats, Terrell Owens.
Dude, it's not your pick.
Well, yeah, I thought it was my pick. I thought, you're next.
Never mind. Forget it. Nate, that's not your pick. Does it look like it's your pick?
You said Pete.
Like I wanted you.
You wanted your input on Reggie White.
I thought you said that's my pick. That's why I said it.
All right. Forget Nate. We're gonna backtrack to you. So after Reggie White, now it's your pick. Who are you going on your team?
See, I was thinking this was like a fantasy type thing. Now we're just
no, this is just
all time. Yeah, Reggie would have been my 1. 2, I guess I gotta go Dawkins.
Okay.
I think the 1 and 2 is pretty chalk. I mean, yeah, that's Dawkins and Reggie White. Anything anybody wants to say about Brian Dawkins? I think we all.
Yeah, I think
it's clear. There's no need to get into.
This ain't gonna be a popular opinion with people outside of Philly, but I don't care. Brian Dawkins is the best safety of his time. That's all I'm gonna say. That's when Palomalo was in the league. That's when Ed Reed was a better ball hawk, but overall safety, I'm giving it.
He's better stats than both of them.
You can make an argument.
Just not like that.
It's not,
Yeah. I wouldn't be against you. I wouldn't be against you at all. Trust me. All right. I'm gonna be predictable, and I'm just gonna go with Brian Westbrook here.
Shocker.
Because I can't not pick him.
Shocker.
Yeah. So, Mr. Pete Young, now it's your pick.
Surprisingly, him over Shady.
God, what's up?
Hey, don't get him started.
Sorry. I meant Slim Shady. Apologize.
We're gonna have to go round 3 with everyone here. So that'll be another topic for another day. But it looks like he's frozen, but he wanted T.O.
I'm still there.
So he said
Terrell.
Okay.
Damn right. All day, every day.
You're good. Now you're back. Okay. All right, Mr. OG Pete, who are you taking here?
So I got 2 back-to-back, don't I?
Yes, you do.
Son of a bitch.
All that shit talking about Kelsey. You ain't say his name yet?
Well, he's not
doing all kinds of linemen.
We're not doing linemen.
Oh.
We're not doing linemen.
It's quarterback. You have to pick a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, / tight end, and a defensive player.
That's why I thought it was like a fantasy thing, right?
No.
Because I'm thinking about points.
No.
Oh, no. Just because I don't like this, I'm gonna go Mike Vick as my quarterback in this prime because injuries are off the table, right?
Great one.
All right, so you said Mike Vick, and then did you say your second one?
But I'm just gonna say injuries are off the table, correct?
It's just sure. However you want to look at it, sure. It's just building a team. All right.
So give me the greatest Eagles running back of all time.
I already took him. But I'll give you the second greatest running back of all time. That's fine.
Bulk.
Pete Young.
Time to pick the greatest Eagles quarterback of all time. Randall Cunningham.
Oh,
bitch.
Ooh.
The ultimate weapon.
Damn.
Who's
him
he pick?
Him with T.O.? That's scary.
Wait. Who did he pick?
He picked Randall Cunningham.
Randall Cunningham. Good pick. All right. You know what? I'll just freaking do it. The 1-2 punch of that era. I'm gonna go Donovan.
Boo.
I was hoping Mike Vick would fall to me.
Yeah, right.
God damn.
Listen,
I'm so mad, Pete Vick. Oh, I'm so mad, Pete.
At the prime, Mike Vick was unfucking. He's
untouchable.
No.
Pete, how many times have I said?
Yeah, but we're talking about
2010 season,
right?
What was that?
Aren't we talking about like what they did in Eagles Green?
No,
you just draft anyone that was an Eagle. You just take
anyone that was an Eagle.
All right.
Anyone that was on the table, you just draft them.
Okay. Fair
All
enough.
right, Jake.
All right. Give me give me Harold Carmichael.
Arguably the best wide receiver in Eagles history. Carmichael. I hope I spelled that right. Carmichael.
It looks right.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Moss.
So
you got a safety. Now you need a quarterback, running back, and a wide receiver / tight end.
I'm up next. I'm gonna go back to back, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Give me Ricky Waters.
Nice.
That's a good one.
Good one. Okay.
Very subtle. People always forget there's 2 T's in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not water.
So it's 4, right? So
yeah, so you got a defensive player and a running back. Now you need a quarterback and a wide receiver / tight end.
Montgomery.
Solid.
Okay, hold on.
What's his name? Is it Montgomery?
Wilbur
Montgomery. Yeah.
Yep. The third greatest running back in Eagles history. Jake.
Give me Steve Van Buren.
Ooh.
Steve Van Buren. Now we're going old school.
Jimmy dumbass gonna say, give me Carson Wentz.
All right. So I've got a receiver and a defensive player left. So I think I am going to go.
Can I change my pick?
I don't care. Go ahead. You want to change your pick?
You good. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, I would give him the option. I would give him the option to change it after this round if nobody takes the player.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
That's all good.
Okay. I am torn, but you know what? I'm gonna do it. Richard Jenkins.
Okay.
That's a great one.
That's a good
Okay.
pick. I forgot about that.
Third round. I like it.
He would have fit right in with that team too.
Yeah, he would.
Please, please,
Kept
please
McNabb.
do not. If you take who I want to take, I swear.
Jerome Brown.
Okay.
Okay. Good pick. Real quick, do you think if Jerome Brown obviously didn't pass,
No.
do you think he
Yes.
would have been
No.
as good as Reggie White?
Yes.
No.
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 No. Okay. That I know that's a conversation people have. That's why I asked.
No. He would have been great, but not Reggie.
I think he would have been a Hall of Famer still.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Montgomery was a running
Digital
back.
Print House brings up a very good point. Nate has to change his pick. He has two running backs.
My pick.
Oh shoot! Oh yeah, I just
Oh,
realized.
I didn't
Okay.
even realize that.
I didn't pick that up. Why did I pick that up? All right, yeah, Nate, go ahead and change your pick.
We all thought I knew what the fuck I was talking about. That's what we
Yeah.
thought.
If we're doing that, can I get Wilbert, please?
I'll go D-Jack.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
A solid one.
Jackson. All right, Evans, Mr. Evans.
So I think Jake said he wanted to take. So you probably, did you? So you want to take Steve Van Buren off and change that to Wilbur Montgomery?
If I'm allowed to. If I have to stick with it, I'm fine.
No, I can change it. You want Wilbert?
Yes, please.
That's fine. Wilbert Montgomery going to Jake. All right, Mr. Evans, go ahead.
Listen, it's
I'm
a
listening.
it's a passing league now, right?
Oh,
Yes,
no.
it is.
I don't understand how this dude is not in the Hall of Fame yet, but you give me the greatest Eagles cornerback of all time. Give me Eric Allen.
That's who
I was waiting for
debating.
Allen.
I was debating going with him. Yep. It was between him and Jenkins for me, but I went with bias. I went with Jenkins.
Okay.
Go ahead, Pete. You got one more?
I need a wide receiver or a tight end, right?
Yeah, a receiver.
Jason Avant.
No, ain't none of this shit going on. Ain't none-
Solid hands.
Give me Mike Quick.
Mike
That's
Quick.
That's a good
Good
one.
one. Okay.
Mike and Mike connection.
Yep.
P. Young.
So it's a safety, right?
It's
Or
a
any defensive player.
You've got your offense. Now you need any defensive. Well, no, you have a defensive player, so you need a running back.
Oh, I need a running back. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see here. You know what? JJ.
Nice pick. I like it.
Okay.
I love me some things.
Because when he was going, that dude
That
was
was
a
great. Yeah.
monster.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It just sucks. He had no knees.
Yeah. So
God.
he's like Carson Strong.
God, he had no knees. Yeah. It literally is kind of like Carson Strong because Carson Strong knees. I don't think he has any cartilage. Or they talk about his knees being degenerative, and so people don't know how long his knee's gonna last. It's crazy. It's nuts. For my final pick, I gotta go wide receiver / tight end. So I'm gonna go with who I think is the most underrated receiver in in the last 20 years.
Number 18.
18.
Jeremy Macklin.
I
Okay.
thought about it.
Attack.
I like it.
I thought about it.
All
Love
right.
Jeremy Macklin.
My God.
All right, then Jake and Nate to finish it off. Jake, you need
I need a
Quarterback.
quarterback.
you go and take him, Jake.
Give me Jaws, please.
Oh, you took Jaws.
No Bradford?
Give me
I
Jaws,
thought you were
please.
gonna go with you know who.
No, I thought about it. It definitely crossed my mind.
I am. You can argue.
Tebow's still on the list.
You can put him in for me.
All right, Nick Foles.
No.
Oh,
That's what I thought.
Yeah, Carson Wentz, brother. What are you
oh,
talking
you're going with Carson.
Yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Prime.
When he was right, he was right.
Yeah.
When Carson at Carson's peak, he's arguably the best quarterback on the list.
Most talented, absolutely.
Yep.
Not even a question. When he was at his peak.
When he was at his peak.
When he was at his peak.
You could argue Donnie had a better year with T.O.
Mhm.
But Carson didn't have no T.O.
Yeah.
Right.
He had Alshon, which, you know. I'm surprised Alshon wasn't taken, but I mean, I guess
I'm surprised Zach Ertz wasn't taken.
I was debating. Yeah.
Wait, were any tight ends taken?
Yeah.
Hold on.
No.
No.
Yeah, Chuck
No.
Bernard should be on this list somewhere, but I've never seen Chuck Bernard play. So.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, I don't think any-
you
I think any of us have.
Yeah, like,
All right, Don says the best team. He goes Pete, Jake, me, Nate, then Mr. Pete Evans. No,
You
Mike.
from Detroit, you don't know shit anyway.
All right.
I say that with love.
I kind of feel like
Don. I have a special message for Don. Your USFL team sucks. My team's in the championship. Suck it.
We're really talking USFL right now.
Have you not watched Fridays?
No,
You
I
brought
haven't-
it up the other day.
I'm gonna watch this Sunday because it's a championship. And
yeah, they're in the championship. I do know that.
Is it
Yeah.
on
I
Sunday?
literally bought a USFL Philadelphia Stars shirt for a Fan Friday.
That's awesome. That's good. How much did it cost you? No,
Like-
no, like legit. Like how much? Did it cost?
$18.
That's insane.
That
Yeah.
is insane.
That's so
It's like a
crazy.
classic one from the 80s. It looks really fire.
That's so crazy.
They about to win the championship.
Yes, they are.
Win it.
Don't care. You care. You care.
The team they beat was like 9-1, weren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
it was
won.
one of the
They
best
won like
teams.
9 straight games. It was ridiculous.
That's insane. That's
That's
crazy.
so
That's
funny.
good for them. Good for them.
With our backup too.
Digital Print House says Charlie Garner is a door. Charlie Garner was really good running back. Really good running back.
No, not Charlie. Keith Byers.
Keith Byers.
Okay, I could have had buyers. It's true.
I'm surprised Seth Joyner didn't make the list.
I thought about it because I love Seth.
See, the thing is, like, we only go 4 deep with each position, so like, there's a lot of people that can be left off.
Man, I
A
don't
lot
know.
of people, except for quarterback. I mean, quarterback does not. You have your 4. So, so people listening, we are going to put this together. Our beloved Frank Vespi at A2D is going to put a graphic out, and then so we want your input. We're going to post this tomorrow on our socials. This is socials. On our socials, and we want your input. Who has the best team out of all of us 5? What do you guys think? How would you build it yourself? All that and so forth. And with the reason why I came to think about this, which I guess you can say will kind of lead to our no huddle topic a little bit, but to finish the show, we've been having conversations in the media about who would your Mount Rushmore of Eagles be? And I know that ESP, Elliott Parks, put a controversial one out there, and then now everyone's responding. Brian Westbrook was on Chris Long's Greenlight podcast this past week. They each gave their Mount Rushmore, which is pretty interesting. But I want your Mount Rushmore off the top of your head. Who would be your top 4 Eagles of all time, and who would to be on the Mount Rushmore for this organization? Let's go from reverse order. So, Pete Young, start with you. Name your 4.
See, Sam Bradford, Namdi, Byron Maxwell, Miles Austin,
All the worst.
God, all the worst. God.
Reggie White, Seth Joyner.
I actually played against Miles Austin in college.
Wait, you did?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, nice.
Cool. Yeah, so Reggie, Reggie Joyner, T.O., and who was that? Let's say Cunningham.
Tio on a Mount Rushmore. He was with us 1.5 years.
And he was amazing. I love
See,
him.
that's where you're going. If you just keep going about talent, it depends on what value you have. What are your values of putting somebody at Mount Rushmore? What does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, however you want to put it. I think that's the what Chris Long was saying. That's the beauty of the exercise is you're Mount Rushmore is however you want to put it. So, if he wants to have T.O. on his Mount Rushmore, all power to him. Jake, you're Mount Rushmore of Eagles.
Reggie, Kelsey, Dawkins. Fourth one's tricky. Are we allowed to do coaches?
Do whatever you want.
All right, I'm going to put Andy up there then.
Andy up there. Okay. Mr. Nate Moss.
Shit. This is tough.
It is tough. It's very difficult. It's
All right,
very
so
difficult.
I will go Dawkins.
Okay.
I will go Foles. Even though I don't have him as my greatest of all time. He got us a ring. You got to put the baby got us a ring.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Dawkins, Foles.
Dawkins, Foles. Yeah, Reggie's got to be on there. Dawkins, Foles, Reggie, and my fourth one. Dawkins, Foles.
Yeah, the fourth one's
Reggie.
tough.
It's tough.
That fourth one is tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of heads there.
Yeah.
But I gotta give the man respect. He doesn't get enough respect. Going 2 quarterbacks, man. I'm putting Donnie up there.
Okay.
There you go. Nice.
I'm putting Donnie up there.
Nice. All right, Mr.
They
Evans.
say Donovan. It'd be interesting. Did Chris Long or Westbrook say Donovan?
So Westbrook had, they both had Reggie and they both had Dawkins.
Okay.
Westbrook had with his other two, Harold Carmichael and Donovan McNabb.
Okay.
That makes sense.
And he had like an honorable mention fifth at Eric Allen. And then Chris Long had for his next two was Kelsey and Nick Foles.
And that makes sense too.
Yeah.
It makes sense of the era, right? Where they play, who they play with.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. It was either Donovan or who else was I thinking? Could have been Jaws a little bit there, but I think Donovan, that run with him and Andy, I think they're like a package.
It's iconic. Yeah.
Him as a package.
Do like a split face on the
Yeah, like it would be both of them on right as like a split face, and it was 10 years that they gave Eagles fans, good football. That's a long time to be good.
Very long time. They changed the trajectory of the organization.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It was the best thing that they ever did was hire Andy Reid, and he drafted Donovan McNabb as his first pick.
Yeah.
So got to go with that. That's the golden years of our era. So
yeah, it is. Even though how crazy is that? Even though there was no Super Bowl, that was like we were spoiled still. Like we expected to be in the NFC Championship game.
Every year we thought we had a chance, like a legit chance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Legit chance. So
spoiled. We were spoiled. Pete.
Dawkins, Reggie, Kelsey.
When it comes down to your quarterback, you gotta always put some respect on that man.
I gotta go 5, bro. It's just
there you go. You gotta go 5.
I can't stand him as a person.
Trash panda.
I think he's a snaky little bitch. Whiny,
always love you.
He will not.
Yeah.
He's he's something else as a person.
But just when you look at once
Love
again
those DMs,
right? You look at those 4 faces that are going to be in the Mount Rushmore, and you say, "Hey, here are the Eagles. This is the 4 faces that we put up," and you can have a story to tell about each of them, good, bad, and indifferent. You feel what I'm saying? And in the first 2, I mean, nobody talks about Dawkins and Reggie being men of faith to have that level of aggressiveness on the field and aggression and not the curse. Not to do like how like you ever like if I'm Brian Dawkins and I stuff out you crumple like that over the middle, man.
I think we've all seen the commercial with Tequila Spikes, right?
Yeah.
And when he talks about how he was gonna take his soul. I want some of that he
I want some of that.
He said, "I'm the T that turned into Shang Tsung out here."
He said, "I'm gonna take his soul." He's like,
phenomenal.
Great.
Oh yeah, that switch for him to go from the mild mannered Brian Dawkins to Weapon X was insane. It's insane. Like, yeah,
they had to calm him down. You know what I mean? I remember Andy said, he's like, "You gotta calm down."
Yeah,
you gotta calm. The game didn't even start yet.
Yeah.
My Mount Rushmore would be pretty. I mean, it's very similar to Mr. Evans. So we've got obviously B-Doc, Reggie White. I do have Jason Kelsey on there for a lot of the reasons he said earlier. In terms of being iconic. And then for my fourth one, obviously, is going to be Brian Westbrook. I had to put him.
I knew it. I thought you wouldn't do it.
How do you have Westbrook over Shady? I don't get
because
that.
he's the better running back.
I'm telling you, Nate. Listen, you won't make your fucking flight if you.
I actually played against Brian Westbrook too.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Did you tackle for a loss?
No, I was on the sideline. I saw him play. I was on the field though, but I saw him play.
Nice.
And he's faster than what people actually really think. He's faster in person than he looks like. But how do you? I just don't understand statistically. How do you have him over Shady?
Well, it's. We'll make this really quick, and we'll save the whole in-depth debate for another show because this is gonna go like these debates can last for like a whole show. Actually, they did before. They did. Westbrook didn't have. When you're talking about just Eagles, I'm just looking at the career with Philadelphia, not because obviously McCoy had a longer career because he was able to stay healthy. He had great years with Buffalo, which put him into a Hall of Fame conversation. But when it comes to their years in just Philadelphia, if you look at who the leading, if you want to go over statistics first, the leader in yards from scrimmage is still Brian Westbrook. It's not LaShawn McCoy. He's the leading rusher. But you add
does yards from scrimmage include special teams?
No, it's just rushing and receiving.
This is the same. Now I'm covering this. I said you said running back, not everything else. You just said running back.
Running back, the position entails catching the ball and blocking.
Nate, I've already been down this rabbit hole with this man.
Yeah. So,
but I'm just saying. I thought that when you have yards from scrimmage, they do count. Like
no, that's all-purpose yards. That's all-purpose yards.
All-purpose yards.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So with Westbrook and hey, like you look at me, like you can easily say I'm biased because Westbrook is my favorite player of all time. I named my son Westbrook. So like you can say I'm biased, but there are other people that do agree with me too. There are like Jason Avant. I asked the question on their podcast. Both Avant and Quentin Michael, who played with both, say Westbrook was better than McCoy. There are a number of writers that say it, writers in media that say it too. Westbrook, I think.
The reason why I asked because the numbers are glaringly shady.
Because he's had the longer career though too. That's the thing.
Westbrook.
But Westbrook played more games.
No, that's not really.
Westbrook. I'm looking at the numbers now because I gotta see it to believe it.
Westbrook in the Eagles uniform, Westbrook had more games. You're saying
he played 107 games. Shady played 90.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay, well, not just that though. Like, but if you're looking at also, my argument is if you're talking about greatest, right? Westbrook had a lot more impact in the playoffs than McCoy ever had. Also, Westbrook was more versatile. Westbrook was a better blocker, and Westbrook, in terms of the position, better vision than McCoy ever had. Now, what McCoy did have is he's a better athlete. He's faster.
He had better vision, bro.
More agile. No, he did have. How many times did he freelance in the backfield? And did he not?
All I'm saying is the 05 Super Bowl, if we had Shady over Westbrook, did we win the Super Bowl or not? That's all I'm saying.
No, I mean, I'm looking at these numbers, right? And I love Brian. Don't get it to us. I am a big Brian Westbrook fan, but Brian ain't ever touched some of these numbers, like 1,300 yards and 17 touchdowns, over 2,000 yards from scrimmage, 1,600 yards, 9 touchdowns, 540 yards receiving.
Westbrook had over. He led in 2007. He led the league in yards from scrimmage, 2,100 something. That's 2,107. So what my point is when in that 3-year span, 2006 2008, when Westbrook was in his prime, he was a better player than Shady ever was. But the thing is, he didn't have as long of a prime than Shady did. Shady was throughout his time was more consistent, yes. But when they were at their peak in their prime, Westbrook was the better player. He could do more, and you also look at the team. Westbrook was the team. He was like there was no support. Defenses focused on Westbrook, and he still put up those numbers. McCoy did have help, so you can make. And here's my overall point because I don't want to get too long into this. Okay, because this is going to be a long show if we get into this in depth. But I'm not saying that it's clear cut one or the other. I think it's splitting hairs between the two. I think you can make an argument for one or the other. I'm part of the fan base that believes that Westbrook was the greater running back. I think he had more of an impact, was better all around, better leader, better legacy in terms of playoff impact and playoff moments. And so that all contributes to him being the greater running back. And a lot of the things that Pete said about Kelsey, about how a lot of this stuff is off the field, you have to take that into account. Well, you got to take that into account with Westbrook. So, the stats are close enough where you can start to look at minute things like this. And so that's why you can make an argument for Westbrook, but you can make an argument for Shady, and I don't hate it. Like, I get it, and I think it's a great debate between those two.
No, I hear you. The only thing I disagree with is just that I don't think the numbers are close. Like, Brian had a whole season, and he had a whole 17 games more, and he's not close to Shady's numbers. But I do agree with the one thing. Westbrook had bigger moments, right? Like bigger moments that will stand the test of time in Eagles history, than Shady did. The only biggest moment that I can remember off the top of my head that Shady had was the snow game.
It was just
it was a snow game. But Westbrook was so many. Obviously, off the top of your head, is the top 2 punt returns. And against
the screen pass in Minnesota.
Yeah, the screen pass that he took deep, like
1 yard kneel down.
Remember in 2006 when we had Garcia as our quarterback, he led the team. He was the offense. It was him.
See, my only thing is where me and Chuck's kind of came to a stalemate is I'll say this: Westbrook was the more complete player, but just as a runner of the football, I don't think it's close. Chuck's is not going to agree.
So when you say runner, I will say that I do admit that again, Shady was a better athlete by far. I think by far better speed. Well, long speed, I guess, by a little bit. I
think he was just faster. I don't think he was a better athlete because Westbrook was amazing.
He was amazing. I think that Shady was more elusive. I think Shady had, I'd say, a little bit better burst, a little better long speed by a little bit. I think Westbrook was stronger, but when it comes to running the ball, because Shady was just so gifted athletically, he does have that over Westbrook. But the one area I will not concede in, Westbrook absolutely had better vision than McCoy. Westbrook's vision was part of the reason why he was able to run so well between the tackles and everywhere it was, because he knew how to bait guys, how to stay patient. Whereas you're so many times where McCoy freelanced. So
he was such a small guy, right? Like I think that helps. His size favored him. Because he could hide behind your Trey Thomases, your Trey Runyons, right? So, I thought that was. I just think it was interesting because I felt like the numbers are pretty telling that who was the better running back.
And I'm someone that I don't go by just numbers. I'm not a numbers guy at all. Like, so I always look at.
We'll get along great because I am a numbers guy.
Yeah, obviously.
No, I do account for the things that you can't account for. Like
Right.
you have to
Yeah,
account.
yeah.
It's just like Kelsey. Like you can't account for what he means to this team.
Yeah.
But like I was saying with Peters, I think it's an argument because of the things you can't account for. If you talk to every lineman who has been through the Eagles locker room in the last 10 years, they will all say, including Kelsey, that Jason Peters is the best lineman they've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
and
remember he was a converted
and I'm not just saying that because I think I know or I have some, like I've seen them all. They've all said Brooks, Johnson, Kelsey himself. They all look to Peters as the godfather and the best lineman they've ever seen. Like not even just the best lineman, the best athlete they've ever seen in their life. Like there are 100 stories about how freaky athletic and how good he is. Like there's no reason why he's winning sprints down the field.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I absolutely believe it. He was insane.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, Jason Peters was absolutely insane.
And we still won the Super Bowl without that bitch. I was gonna keep y'all.
Barely. Oh my god. All right. Well, awesome conversation. I like our conversations toward the end. Very good stuff, guys. It's again second straight week with us 5, and we delivered. You guys are awesome. It's been a lot of fun so far, and I look forward to even more shows this summer. So we'll see what next week holds. We'll have a lot more discussions, and hey, maybe we will have a full-on Westbrook versus McCoy debate at some point, round three. But regardless, I appreciate you guys again. Love you guys. To our fans, our listeners, thank you again for all your support. Thank you for listening, tuning in, watching us 5 knuckleheads in glasses talk some football. And we appreciate our sponsors as well, especially our main sponsor, Manscaped. Remember, use the promo code A2D to get 20% off. Make sure you tune in, guys. We've got a lot more shakeups, as you've seen on A2D. A lot better, a lot of improvements to our show. So check out every single day what we have in store for you here at A2D Radio. But for myself, for my co-host, my lovely co-host here, Mr. OG Pete Evans, Mr. Moss Money.
Look at that tan line. God
dang. Mr. Jake Friel. We love you. Stay safe. God bless. And we will see you same time next
week. Have a great holiday weekend, everybody.
Stay safe. Eat a lot. Enjoy the fireworks if you are going to. And
watch your hands.
Stay clear of short traffic if you're going to the shore. Later, guys. Peace out.
Peace.